husband's been cheating on her with the sister, or with her sister. She ends up getting him, and then the mother just leaves. And we just never, like, she's not, the female lead's never seen her again. So we don't know where she is now. So, back to present. In the first episode, we're also introduced to one of the other main characters, which is the detective, who is also another neighbor. He lives with his niece, who we find out later that she knows the female lead, right? Now, this detective is characterized by the ginormous bush of red lines on his head. It really is something to behold. I'm not gonna lie, the first time you see it, you really is like, wow, that's a lot. Anyways, so the female lead basically never, she like I said, never leaves her apartment. However, there's like this new neighbor that moves in, like in front of the apartment that the female lead lives in. This new neighbor moves in, and she kind of starts leaving like food and stuff for the female lead in front of her door, because she like kind of wanting to befriend her. It kind of works. Though like the female lead never actually kind of goes out and interacts with her face to face. There's a cute little moment, like a friendship moment going on. Well, it ends up that the neighbor ends up being a victim of her who is her ex. And the female lead sees this. She kind of figures it out and then sees this. And she's the one who ends up saving the neighbor. The neighbor. So it's basically here during the scene where she's saving this neighbor that she comes to a realization, and it is that the ex, who is also the murderer, is able to also see S lines, and that is because he is wearing these glasses, and she kind of realizes his hypothesis, but it's not confirmed, but this is what she thinks. She thinks that the glasses that he's wearing are showing him the S line. So, she saves the neighbor's fine, the female lead is fine, detective actually comes in at the end and kind of helps out, I guess, whatever, it doesn't matter. So this is basically the setup. So with the mystery of the glasses all set up, the female lead receives message, like a text message telling her, I can see what you see, and the anonymous message then asks her to come to the high school, which is called, I think, the ARC High School. So this is when she decides that she's going to come out of hiding and she starts going to school again, and this is basically where the story begins, really. And I thought this was like a good beginning, and I thought this was how it was gonna go. So people are gonna commit crimes, and they're going to be solvable through the female lead's like power, and there's gonna be like a backdrop of the bigger mystery of, like, you know, who made these glasses that allowed people to see these lines, and you know, their like how are like and the crimes that like the detective and eventually the female lead come across, how are they connected to this whole big backstory, right? That's what I was expecting. The story evolves basically into people at the school start receiving these glasses one by one. The first person to receive them is the niece of the detective. Now, the niece, she's being bullied at school, and of course, no Korean drama that has any aspect of high school in it is like, it's not complete if there's no bullying going on. But anyways, we digress. She's being bullied during this like scenes, I guess. We're also introduced out of like a person or a teacher interfering with bullying. Like, it just, I don't know if it's based on real facts or what, but it's like the teachers are completely useless when it comes to stopping bullying for some reason. I don't know, whatever. Nothing really comes out of it. She's still getting bullied. So the niece ends up receiving other classes, and she, putting them on, realizes that the bully is having an affair with the teacher, with the Korean teacher. And so, as every, sane person should or would, she decides that she is going to blackmail the teacher. First, she tries to blackmail the student, the bully, but the bully is like, oh, she's a different story. She's like, I'm a minor, and if you reveal these, nothing's gonna happen to me. It's gonna be the teacher that's gonna take the thing. So she's like, damn, okay. So she flips her tactic and blackmails the teacher. And this whole thing ends with the niece getting pushed off the roof of the school, and she ends up in a coma. So, lesson in there somewhere. I don't know. So that happens, and then someone basically releases the affair to the press, and there's like an article that's published, and the Korean teacher is later found to have committed the S word in his car, though he had been kind of, he passed over, should I say, he passed over to the other side way before his affair was released. Like, I think it's like a few hours or a day before the affair was released to the public. So we, together with the detective, are a little bit left like suspecting whether it was the S word or not, Okay, that's the first case of the glasses, right? The second case is that of the English teacher. So not the Korean teacher and not the homeroom teacher, but the English teacher receiving the glasses. So he's the English teacher. He's just got cheated on, and like, he leaves, obviously, his fiance or whatever, and then he finds these glasses on his desk, and he's like, whose glasses are these? And the homeroom teacher, the one that that main character, she's like, well, they're on your desk, so they must be yours. Why don't you try them on? And so he does, and again he puts them on, comes to the realization that he can see these S lines, and kind of puts them two and two together and realizes what they are. He finds out, because of the glasses, that his brother-in-law is having an affair with a lady that lives a few floors below his sister's apartment. Nasty, nasty man. So he, as any good brother should, confronts the brother-in-law, tells him, deal with your mistress and go back to my sister. And so the brother-in-law does deal with the mistress. What we and the English teacher don't realize is that his sister was the other woman. His sister was the mistress, and the lady living like a few floors below was the actual wife. So the brother-in-law deals with the mistress by cutting his sister off. I was all like shocked because your face here, because this was a good twist. This was a really good twist, I'm not gonna lie. The actress who played the sister slash mistress, good actor. So yeah, this one doesn't end in death, which is good, I guess. I don't know. Silver lining, really. But anyways, by the end of this episode, though, the female lead tells the detective that she sees these as lines, and that there are these glasses that help other people also see these lines. And someone's giving these glasses to people, and they're committing crimes because of these. And the detective is like, yeah, right. He of course doesn't believe her, because why would he? By the end of this episode, I also started to suspect the homeroom teacher, because she was acting hella suspicious. Because what do you mean? They're on your desk, so they must be yours. Like, a man would know if he wears glasses and thereby owns a pair. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, if you're like trying to gaslight him, then you're just a bad gaslighter. And it's another story that this man is stupid enough to like get convinced somehow by what she says and then tries them on. And you know, this is why I find the most interesting about this show is like people they just do be trying random glasses that they found lying about. And of all the items in the world, the least likely item to be picked up and tried on, I feel like, would be glasses, because nobody has any reason to do that. Like rings, most likely. Jackets, maybe. Glasses, there's no way. Other than like, if you're with your friends and you know, you just try on your friend's glasses to see how blind your friend really is. Other than that, I've never come across any sort of normal situation where people are like, oh, these random glasses, let me try them on. I don't know. Anyways, I was like, at this point, after 3, I'm like, you know, this homeroom teacher, she's suspicious. I don't trust her. This is where I'm like starting to clock that she seems a little too nice and a little too naive. Like, act is a bit too, yeah, there's something going on. So now we're moving on to episode 4. Now, up until now, I thought cases and mysteries were being set up well, and I was like, they're gonna carry this forward and like solve this, I guess, later on. But this is where things kind of started to spiral downwards. So the next closet receiver is one of the admin staff in the school. Now there are things you need to know about her. She lives in a Koshivon, which is a hostel of sorts. I don't know why this is important, but just remember that. She wants to be an actress, and she likes the music teacher. She seems very, like, nothing interesting, kind of. No, that's mean. I mean, like, her wardrobe is pretty, like, neutral, colored, very, I don't know what to say, how to say, like, more, conservative, I guess. That's how, like, she just looks very, like, normal. Scene cuts to her dressed up in a pink wig and just walking down with ginormous heels, and she goes to a motel. There she gets a room. Apparently this is a room that she gets quite often. Gets a room, gets in there, lies in the bed, stares at her reflection in the mirror on the ceiling, and then she starts repeating some sort of like lines. And I was so confused. If this doesn't make sense, it's because it didn't make sense to me either when I was watching it, because I was so confused. First of all, I couldn't understand like why she was dressed up like that, because like there was no explanation given. One scene she's at the school dressed normally, just like she's very like dressed very demure, should I say. The next, she's walking towards this motel looking like a completely different person, and like till the end they never actually reveal what the hell was going on. I was so mad, because give me an explanation. Like, she must be practicing for an audition because she said she's like wanting to be an actress, but no, she's just lying in a motel, like repeating these lines. She like seems, she can look as like a psychopath because I don't know what the hell is going on. I was so confused throughout this whole episode. Back to the story, because this is not the worst of it. The worst is yet to come. So she's at the motel, and I'm not gonna tell you how, but she realizes that her crush, the music teacher, is seeing someone in secret. So this girl just loses her shit. I could already tell that she was a little bit unhinged, but yet this really blows open the whole kind of worms. Basically, what she does end up doing is she kidnaps the woman as she's coming in to the room. She kind of kidnaps her, takes her clothes, puts them on herself, and then takes her place and walks into that room where the music teacher is. She then also proceeds to drug the music teacher and then somehow ends up killing him. All of this happens so damn fast. So damn fast. I could see, like, I saw her doing something crazy, which she did, like, kidnap the woman and took her place. Up until then, I was like, okay, yeah, I know that's what you're gonna do. But drugging him, and then somehow he just dies. What? What is going on? Anyways, and then she proceeds to lose for the second time, and then herself as well in the bathtub by stapling herself. She staples herself to death. That scene was probably it made my body cringe because every time I heard the staple going tuk. Oh, I couldn't, I was like, my whole body was like, ah. Shit's just hitting the fan basically. And I was already confused, by the way, like I said, from the whole like wig and the weird practice line thing, so it just escalates so fast, so quickly, so bizarrely. I got so much whiplash, like whiplash. But the silver lining, there's progress, because the detective, he's got his little senses tingling, and he goes back to because he comes to the scene of crime scene, and this is like after Pete's left. He drains the bathtub, and lo and behold, there they are, the godforsaken glasses. And despite me telling him through the screen multiple times not to put the glasses that have been sitting in the bloody bath water on him, he puts them on, which really disgusted me because that's disgusting, that's nasty. Like, someone else's, like, these glasses have been marinating in somebody else's internal fluids, so what are you doing? Anyways, that was just, I couldn't get past that. I was just like, yeah, great, the plot is moving, but wash them first, please. Anyways, so he puts on the glasses and gets up and looks in the mirror and finally is able to see that gigantic bush of S-lines on his head. Just, and then he realizes that yes, our female lead was in fact right. So, episode 5, glasses are with the detective. And finally, the S-lines, or being able to see the S-line, actually gets used to solve a crime. it would have been a shocking revelation, to be honest. So it was like a good plot twist. Disgusting, really, but good plot twist. Except that it was ruined for me, so I was like, yeah, I knew that already. Anyways, so yeah, I was, like I said, I was finally happy, at least to see that this ability was being used to solve the crimes. But my happiness was very short-lived. Because I started episode 6, and this is the last episode. And some episode this was. We start off. The female lead just got laid. There's a side plot of her developing a crush. Irrelevant, really. Anyways, it's on her birthday, and they're on their way back, and the boyfriend, I don't know, I guess it never is official, really, but whatever. I'm gonna call him the boyfriend. The boyfriend tells her, you wait here. He goes to get a cake because it's her birthday. He ends up getting into an accident and gets impaled. So she's all sorts of hysterical. And as if that was not enough to, add in some more salt to her wounds, she receives a message that her other friend is being held hostage at the school. And this message comes from the same number that told her to come to the high school in the beginning of the series. Well, she calls the detective, they run to the school, and they get inside school. She runs a little ahead of the detective because she's hella scared for her friend. And she runs into her classroom. He's like 10, maybe 15 steps behind her. And so, he also runs after her in the same exact classroom and finds nothing there. So cue my confused Pikachu face number 2. And so he's trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. What has just happened? Where is she? We cut to the female lead, and she is in fact in the same classroom, and she's untying her friend. They run out of the room, and they run down the stairs, but then they come back out of the same stairs, and they realize that they're stuck in some sort of a loop. And I knew coming into this drama that there was going to be some unnatural stuff going on in this show, but I did not think they were going to be so blatant with the unnaturalness. I thought it was going to be in the background, something feels off and ominous vibe type of a thing, but no. I was so shocked. I was like, what is going on? Anyways, so the friend and the female lead are stuck in a loop. Now on the other side, the detective is confused as hell because he's like, where is she? He decides to continue to look for her. Basically, keeps checking the floors and then ends up on the rooftop. On the other side of wherever the friend is and the female lead is, they both hear the rooftop door close, so they run up as well, and they end up on the rooftop. But the detective is not there. We pan back to the detective, and this is where shit really hits the fan, because he's not on the rooftop. He's actually in some random ass place where people are just gathered in front of a woman who is about to chop somebody's head off. And then she proceeds to do that. In doing so, is successful in removing her last S-line from her head. And she moves over, and from behind her emerges this figure. And this figure has hundreds of S-lines coming out of their head. Puts the detective to shame. It's just giant, it's like a whole ass tree. But then they disappear. And who is this? It's the homeroom teacher. It looks completely different now. And she's got somebody on the table as well. Now, I'm just assuming at this point some magic is happening, because the person just appears and there's a cloth on their face. Removes the cloth, and guess what that is? It's the detective's dad on the table now. out, and she just tosses him to the side, and that's basically. And I'm just going with this now. At this point, I don't understand what the hell is going on. We pan back to the female lead on the rooftop with her friend. Her friend somehow procures the damned glasses, and then she's like, "Oh, is this what you were talking about when you said you could see things?" And then she turns around and she's like, "She said if I kill you, I'll be able to see these S lines without the glasses," and then proceeds to try and do exactly that. She doesn't, of course, succeed because she's got main character privileges. Anyway, so the female lead takes the glasses and breaks them, and the friend kind of just comes to her and she's like, "What the hell is going on?" It seems like the glasses kind of take over a person out of it. Anyways, in this whole process of the friend trying to kill the female lead bleeds a little bit, and from that cut, a little bit of blood comes out, and then it just floats up into the air, and then magic, and now the female lead is like in the same dimension where the homeroom teacher and the detective is. If I had to explain like how they show it, is like this is the normal world, and then on like parallel to this world that's where the homeroom teacher is, and these two, I'm gonna call them worlds, these parallel worlds are facing each other. So the female lead bleeds, the blood kind of goes up into the other dimension, and then she's just transported there. I'm just trying to make sense of like what is happening here, but anyways, she ends up where the homeroom teacher is. She kind of confronts the homeroom teacher. The homeroom teacher, I'm gonna make this really short, but the homeroom teacher stabs her, saying something along the lines of, "Your death will give everyone the ability to see S lines." She gets stabbed. The female lead, her blood kind of like defies gravity and then pools in the air, looking suspiciously like tangled S lines. She falls to the ground, and here I thought she was gone. She's just crossed over, but then she gets up and stabs the homeroom teacher. And the homeroom teacher is like, "Yeah, it's too late, babes," and then kind of dies, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, her pooled, gravity-defying blood. Like I said, this is now the other dimension, and this is the world. So the blood is right. The blood is right here, and it goes onto the rest of the world. They get transferred back to the normal world now, onto the rooftop. And after a few seconds, the friend starts screaming because, and then they pan the camera back to like the sky, and it's just like filled with S lines, and basically everybody can now see S lines, just like the female lead. And that's basically it. There's like nothing, no explanation given. Like, first of all, none of the, except for one of the crimes, nothing else gets solved. I'm assuming we're just left to assume that it must have been the homeroom teacher. The Korean teacher died, like, whoever died, it must have been the homeroom teacher. You're like, "Oh, your cat died, it must have been the homeroom teacher." You're like, I don't know, that's what I'm assuming. Like, I was so bamboozled when I finished this. Like, I was like, what do you mean? Is this, like, that's it? I looked, I was like, is this the last episode? Because what just happened? What just, like, this is not even like a story. Like, this is not, first of all, it's not finished. sense to me. We should ship